topic, which is marketing and sales tactics to grow your business this year. Now, I really want this to be an interactive workshop. I'm not going to talk for 2 hours, my voice will never hold out. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring up a topic, and then I'm going to say a few words about it, and I want to see whether you're using it, whether you have used it, what you think of it. So I want to go across, you've got so many different kinds of businesses represented here. I want to see what what's worked for you in the past, what's working for you now, and how you intend to grow your business this year, what you're going to do with marketing and sales tactics, okay? So we'll do some of these, then we'll have a little break to top up with coffee and pots of cake, and then we'll come back to do a bit more after the break. Okay, the first one I want to talk about is how you can personalize customer experience. There's now so much competition out there in every field you think of. And people are getting more and more demanding. And one of the ways in which they get demanding is they want a more tailored product or service unique to their needs. I've just put a very basic example on there from Amazon, the related items to what you previously viewed, or people who bought this also looked at this, that kind of thing, where you can sense what somebody's doing and what they're interested in, and you can respond in line with that. So the more you can personalize or use technology to give the appearance of personalization, the stronger you can build that relationship with your customers. I've got a couple of examples I'll show what I'm doing in a moment, but anyone here trying to do more personalized things? Anyone trying to tailor what they do to individual clients or groups? Yeah, you give us
This is the business we are in.
Yeah. Because you do home
automation. Personalized for every client.
So how do you go about, how do you make, if I'm the owner of the house,
right,
how do you make me feel like you're only doing this for me, and it's completely different?
I would ask you first about, I would look at the floor plans with you and study your house a little bit, and then I would ask you about your life habits and how you live and your family, and whether you like to invite friends or how you live and what is important for you, and really then break it down in different chapters for us, whether security is important for you, and whether you have parties or the music system, light. And then we basically will create a system, and then once the system is agreed and created, we'll then go back and go into scenes for the client and say, see, those are the functional scenes that we created for you. And we always put on different stages the input. We're looking for the input of the customer and refine our system till the end that actually it's working well, and at the very end we would give a 30-day experience period where the client can come back and say, I would like to have this and that change. Then at the end we are sure that it's really tailor-made and everybody's happy.
Okay, that's interesting, yeah. So I guess part of the challenges in your line of work, because you've got so much technology there, I as the client don't know what I don't know.
Yes.
So how do you help me to understand how the technology's moved on from what I used to know?
Yeah, that's a good question actually, because so we differentiate between must-haves, where we would educate the client, and could-haves, or how do you say, nice to have, something like that. And for both things, we sort of need to address certain situations for a client and say, look, this is really something we really need, and those things they could be interesting for them. And then there's also this and that in the market, so we try to divide it and also say, look, this is not necessary. Once we understood the line, because it doesn't make sense to oversell something and go, this is a massive audio system and interesting music, so just to listen to the news, it doesn't make sense. So trying to understand the client, go back and educate about the latest things, but also leaving the things out that you would say, well, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Otherwise it just gets too much.
And you deal with quite high net worth people. Does budget come into it much? Or?
It depends. This is one of the challenges. So we're trying to sense this in the beginning, talking about the house, talking about furniture, talking about the design. So you get a certain sense of this, Yeah. And then, every client wants to sort of more or less know what what it is, you know, so we're estimating this in roughly and saying whether it's 150 or 400. You know?
Yeah.
So you say, well, you're going to be more or less there, and then, I mean, sometimes clients are very wealthy, but they have no idea, and they thought for 5,000,
That's
they
right.
get the whole party, you know.
Yeah.
Another client say, well, that's not a lot, you know, you go come with a bit figure, and I say, well, that's, you know, I spent more on another house. So, yeah, that's a very crucial point to sort of get this idea of meeting the expectations of the client, more or less.
Yeah, my American business mentor used to say that one of the important skills of an entrepreneur is the ability to quote the price and keep a straight face. Of course, it's 500,000. Anyone else doing personalised customer experience in a different kind of business model?
Well, I suppose to some extent we do a lot of personalising of businesses. People kind of just starting a new business, or we're updating our business, or we changed our business model. We often have these updates, or certainly a lot of new clients walking through our doors, and we built a good reputation on this regard. And I think that what perhaps makes us different, I think is what's important is to understand what differentiates you versus anyone else in the marketplace. And we've spent a long time doing that, and we kind of understand the market quite well. And we will then guide you how we would suggest you start your business.
Okay, so what, I mean, obviously, you know, we know you as the kind of works in the print shop. I mean, what's the breadth of what you would discuss with a new client that walks through the door?
What are you doing? What would you like?
Yeah.
Where would you like to go? I mean, what is the best way we can get you to market?
Right.
And then, of course, it's situations like this in networks, which we would always recommend to clients, or just direct introductions, because we know so many people. And you just almost like pinpoint ideal partnerships or potential clients for you to get started.
You see, I don't know what you do to get that message out there, but I'll be honest, I would have put you in a smaller box than that. You know, I would have categorised you as like if I need my business cards printed or something like that. And what we're talking
Generally,
here
is
is
how
way-
it comes and starts. The
Yeah.
reputation we seem to have built for ourselves is the fact that we kind of know the market really well. Our
Right.
background's market.
Yeah.
It's a very eclectic market we live in. It's so different.
Yeah.
There's no ways you could say it's like a South African market. It's not. Because it's based on expat communities, locals, people who've been here for 20 years. I'm not the guys who arrived here yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are completely different. The expectations and what they will be attracted to is totally different.
Right. But there's almost a consulting element to what you do. In terms
Very
of-
much so. And I think that's for me is a tailoring experience which one can then develop a relationship from the outset.
Yeah.
It's not about selling you some business cards. You can go online and buy them. My opposition, I would actively say to you, my biggest opposition is not local. My biggest opposition is the guy's going to go online, print this or print that, and get some business cards.
But I think that's a really important differentiator that needs time putting into, because exactly, if they go for the commoditized stuff, online is almost always going to be cheaper, but there's no way they could go online to get access to your contact base, you know, and your network and all
The
the
understanding of, and this is what we have, you know.
Yeah.
We have clients that come in and we spend a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
And of course, the second or the third order, they think, well, shit, I'm going to go down to Germany, I'm just going to buy it for half the price. And a year later, they come back and bang down my door. It's like, Dean, I've lost my clients. I said, well, you know what? That guy was your opposition. He came to the market.
Yeah.
He's overtaken you. Of course he's going to do this.
Okay.
I'm
I
not.
mean, if you're interested in how many people here, I would think it's the majority are business to consumer marketing. I mean, I spent most of my life selling to very few people, then gave the option to sell to thousands.
Yes.
Right? But I only had to convince one or a committee, and then I got to serve hundreds of thousands. And I'm guessing most of the people here are business to consumer, in which case you've got a range of customers, which you're trying to understand their needs and their preferences and the rest of it.
Yeah.
Versus if you're a business to business seller, you're doing it to a very few. So I'm guessing most people here are business. If you're in a restaurant Katera, then you need to understand the marketplace you've got and how you differentiate from the other people who got restaurants in Katera. But it'd be interesting to know what the breakdown was here. I suspect most people are B2C.
Let's find out who's B2C in their business at the moment, business to consumer. business.
Amazing.
Yeah, even fit actually, even match I think, but yeah, I mean even in the B2B world I think personalisation comes into it. I mean, would you say, Stefan?
Yeah, I do mass personalization, which sounds like a contradiction to some extent it is, but I look at large enough audiences and then zoom into about 1,000 people or so, and then really do specific marketing to them.
Yeah.
That resonates very well with them because you do the qualification up front.
Yeah.
Primarily use LinkedIn Sales Navigator for that, so that is indeed a good tool to analyze things globally, and then I zoom in on a particular region or industry, come up with a particular list, import this into the tool, and then do AI supported sort of mass generation. Outreach, which is personalized to their particular organization and particular needs, so it feels like it's a personal email, it's not.
So just can you give me an example? So let's say, you know, you go on LinkedIn, you could search for CEOs of companies of 10 million turnover, 200 staff in London. You get a list of, let's say, 1,000.
Yeah.
If I'm one of those CEOs, what would I first see from you?
It's very important to step into the shoes of the person you're trying to reach out to. So you don't, personally, I think it's not the right place to sell something, especially not from the get-go, because you don't know them, they don't know you. So it's really important to think about, okay, what is it that would be interesting for them to attend? And a fairly easy example is something like a webinar, where you organize a 1-hour session for free for anyone to attend. And if you have very good speakers and a good topic, it's pretty hard to say no to something if it is relevant to them. So then the only practical thing is, does it fit into the diary? Then half of the time they say, I can't make it, but is there something else coming up? And that is enough to start a conversation. So you can say, yes, we have another one planned for April, or you say, no, we don't, but we can have a one-to-one if that is up to your alley. So you can sort of build on top of something quite easily from complete strangers up to.
So you could run an event like how will Trump's tariffs impact European finance companies or something? And if I was a CEO of a European finance company, that might resonate. Yeah, okay, cool. Who else was B2B? Someone else put their hand up as B2B. Jonathan?
Yeah, but we also do B2B, but for customers, for marketing, digital marketing.
Right.
And so their needs are a bit different because they have a huge audience they have to deal with.
Yeah.
And so what we tend to do is have your type of customer they have, and you have a digital portfolio for them.
Yeah.
And so then you're sort of hitting different sorts of people based on their preferences. But it's at a lot larger scale. And usually you want to build that sales funnel down, so it's mostly just awareness is usually the first step, just getting it out there. So the funneling down on the preference list is usually then through just digital means, like the preferences of what they've used before, bought before. You funnel that into sort of a game plan of your lead gen, and then that generates what the sales are for the customers.
Okay. Yeah. Leon, about your business, you run an optical store. Do you reach out in any kind of personalised way to your customer base?
No, not personalized at the moment. We still trying to figure out what type of clients we deal with in our area. But obviously we also trying to reach out to clients outside of our community as well. So nothing specifically as far as personalized go. But we do try and stock a variety of frames, something that somebody might be interested in, particularly something unique and different as well. So something that they won't find in the normal chain type of optometrist.
Okay. I've got a couple of things I want to show you in a few minutes. Okay, so personalising customer experience is a key part of a key tactic. Social media engagement. Focus on platforms that align with your target audience and regularly post valuable content and interact with followers to build a loyal community using things like stories, reels, etc. Now, that's a few words, but it actually describes a lot of work. I don't know, how many people here would class themselves as active on social media? Yeah? And in what way, Michael? What kind of things would you use social media for?
I promote my company by doing content, how to use the product that I'm selling, to telling how to use them, what to look for, ask for. I sell everything with a logo tag, so quite much clothing, and I still run it from Sweden. So,
Online sales?
and not online, since I live here more or less 9-10 months, and most of them are Scandinavian clients, and they know I live here. But to teach them more about, because everybody thinking they can buy a t-shirt and have a print, and you can, but it's huge difference between qualities and everything, so I'm posting maybe a couple of times every week on LinkedIn or Facebook.
And that's what kind of advice or information about?
More advice,
Yeah,
and reach out to learn the client,
yeah.
because it's a little bit more complicated what people think it's going to be good.
But also, and that's a key part of positioning, you know, which is, I think, one of the most important things we can do is to position ourselves as experts in our field and become the kind of go-to choice. But I think one of the key words there is regular, and the other key word is valuable.
Yeah.
You know, so I think you know, it's easy to regularly post rubbish, and it's easy to occasionally post something valuable, but it's not so easy to regularly post something valuable. And so, you know, I mean, obviously at a certain size of organisation, you end up with a dedicated personal team doing this. But if you're a solopreneur, then this can become a big kind of sucker of your time to try and come up with regular posts that you think will be of interest to people. So,
I do a little bit of properties in UK, and some start with that. Very many people using a virtual assistant.
yeah.
Most of the time, people from Philippines work very well, and you pay not too much for it, and they take care of these kind of things, around the basic stuff.
Yes.
So,
But you still need to feed them the material in terms of the
they're quite good at it.
But they research that as well.
Yeah, they do.
Because you can use sites like Fiverr.com and Upwork.com if you're familiar with those. Fiverr, Fiverr.com, and Upwork.com. You hire freelancers basically, and they will give you you go onto Fiverr or Upwork and you say, I want a logo design, or I want as you say, social media, or even some very technical things, right the way through to whole kind of social media content strategies and things. And they'll quote you either a price per hour or a price for the job, and then you pay that and they deliver it quite quickly. So I make quite extensive use of that for anything from trivial little changes to a graphic through to building whole websites and things. But the thing is, I think, to have a plan, to make a content plan. It says in January, I'm going to do these 6 posts, in February these ones. If you give yourself a bit of lead time on that, you can make sure you're preparing and putting out something both regular and valuable. And also this thing about interacting. If you get somebody commenting on your post, it's great if you comment back. Because you're also then starting to train the algorithms within those platforms that this is obviously a useful account or a useful site, because people are. So whenever anyone comments on my YouTube videos, for example, I make a habit of commenting back, and gradually the algorithm learns that this is a channel that's worth putting in front of people, because this is all about obviously the network effect, trying to grow your network through that social media platform. And I think that the best thing I would recommend is to choose one and try and do it well. Don't try and be a jack of all trades, because you'll never get anything else done. But if you can say, I'm going to do LinkedIn, or I'm going to do Instagram, if you've got a very visual business, Instagram's great. If you've got more of a business to business, LinkedIn's probably better. But just focus on one platform, focus on regular, and focus on value. And a great example of the webinar that Stefan mentioned there, if you're into that kind of thing, if you want to attract people to your area.
Okay.
How do you define your value content?
How do you define value?
Yeah.
Very much in the eyes of the recipient. You think, the way I'd start is with your ideal customer profile, or avatar, it sometimes gets called. So it might be, I don't know, men aged 25 to 30 who are professionals who have high income and low outgoings, no families or whatever. And you define that. The closer you define that, You can then think, where do those people hang out and what are they interested in? And it might be that they're interested in, some kind of sport or some kind of, watches or something, designer watches or whatever. And you can, just create content that would be of interest to a person of that profile. So the better you understand your customer, the more you can, the first point, personalization, again, that's better the more you understand. But equally with social media, what platforms do they hang out on, etc. What groups are they in? All of those things. I think one thing that's become really, really powerful in more recent years is video. It used to be that you have to write long blog posts and things. People's attention spans are getting shorter. So video can become a very powerful and more engaging technique. And YouTube's the obvious one. It's not only is it a platform, it is the second biggest search engine after Google. And it's owned by Google. So the interaction between them is very strong. So if you want to build, particularly for positioning, then YouTube can work really well. Or tutorials, how to, I got a new phone the other day, and in the end, I'm going onto YouTube trying to find out how to use this new phone because you've got virtually no instruction with it. And there are YouTube videos on everything. How to add an email account to a Samsung A55. There's 16 people made videos about that. So whatever you do, I'd imagine, this would be great for you if you could do some videos of the sort of project you undertake.
Yes.
I know it's time and it's...
Yeah, it's short, it's just, how can I say, the lifespan is very, very, very short.
Yeah.
Because technology moves so fastly, so you're posting something and 3 months later it's outdated.
Sure.
Everybody knows it already, and it's ridiculous.
Sure. But
equally,
the fact you're on top of it and posting about the new stuff, you're just behind the expert.
Image creation,
And the other thing about this, of course, is it takes away geographic boundaries. So if what you're doing is not a local brick and mortar business, then this kind of platform opens up the entire world to you. The problem is it also opens up the entire world to your competitors, so you have to, again, produce regular, decent quality content. And the standards are getting higher. The days when you can just throw something together on your phone and stick it on YouTube, these days you need some decent equipment, you need proper editing, and all the rest of it. But it is certainly a very effective one for myself. Local SEO optimization. Oh, it's the Happy Andarinas Cafe in Katera that I just happened to Google. So, if you do have a local business, things like this become absolutely key. Obviously, Google's a massive source of traffic. So, is this something that you've done work on, Neil, for your business? Do you have Google Places and all those kind of things?
Well, I haven't specifically focused on Google AdWords or anything like that, but we have a website and we encourage customers that are happy with our service to give us good reviews on Google and, respond. So we're busy growing that at the moment. Yeah, but we have a website here and we try and get people to click on regularly and we click on regularly as well. I suppose that helps with the algorithm as well.
Yeah.
So,
I think a couple of comments I'd make on this, obviously Jose's not here, but I think it's great to see 114 reviews with an average of 4.7, that's pretty good, that's pretty encouraging. I would say it's a shame that there's no website. It says missing information, add website. And there's no real kind of call to action, like free pastoral dinners on Tuesdays or something. It's just something that gives me a reason to do something and respond. But if you do run a local business, you notice all the different platforms, TripAdvisor, Instagram, Facebook, whatever Dig-In is, so finding all these platforms you can be on helps in your local business in promoting it and location-specific content. Do you guys run a local business? I can't remember what you guys do.
Yes, yeah. So, do Oxley and also building, construction, maintenance.
Right, so very much a local business. So do you have a presence on Google?
I did back in South Africa. I had a big presence on Facebook, YouTube or Instagram, you can find it, and Google Ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, we are busy with the website now.
Sorry?
We are busy with the website now.
Oh, you are?
You know,
Okay.
it's just, I think it's, like we were saying earlier, is what I found wasn't so easy, or wasn't so simple in my mind to put together, because you need to understand the audience,
Mm.
and it's very different to essay.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, I put some content before we actually need to get it to go live, and then I'll take it from there.
So who's your target customer here? Who's your ideal kind of customer?
People lose their keys. But every holiday owner,
Yeah.
the biggest issue I can tell you is that this past year,
Property management company.
they just lose keys.
Really?
On the beach, in the gym, in the taxi. And it's just like, help.
Yeah.
And we can't wait outside because we're stuck. What not? It's like the most demanding people in the world. So
Yeah.
I paid for the service and I lost the key. So, then
Yeah, but that's good. That means somebody's going to have an emergency call to action,
Mm.
and that's where you need to be found on their phone when they're saying, I've lost the key, it's locked out. Yeah. So I guess I suppose either the client would ring or the agency, I guess, might ring you to fix it.
Either or, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got a kind of a B2B piece and a B2C
And
piece.
business to consumer.
Yeah.
And then, you know, from on the maintenance side, just in terms that also touches your property management, because often they need jobs done
Right. Right.
as well.
Yeah. So you've really got two different avatars here, haven't you? You've got the B2B agencies that you want to work with, and you've got the end customer who perhaps is on holiday and just gets locked out or something and needs to bring somebody.
Or needs to
Or a
upgrade
property owner.
space.
Yeah. Yeah.
All this technology.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of your technology now because, of course, if you didn't have keys,
Yeah.
fingerprints, right?
Some of the keys are getting very
Probably the
expensive.
eyes, or I don't know how you're actually working your business. Yeah.
That's even a make a point.
No, I think with Leon, you know, with products, you can make nice photographs to put on Instagram or something. You know,
Yeah.
really good sunglasses in this
Yeah.
place, you know, there's
Yeah.
everybody's wearing sunglasses, but there's nice sexy shots of this fancy
Mm.
ones at the point.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think at the very basic, if you have a local, particularly B2C business, I think, getting Google sorted out is a top priority so that people can find you. And keeping it up to date as well. Because, sometimes people set this up and years later they haven't come back to it. So that's Jose's little place. And how about influencer partnerships? This is where you can collaborate basically this is all about network effects. This is trying to get you associated with them. The reason these guys make so much money, I mean, I personally have never heard of Danny Austin. Have you heard of Danny Austin?
No.
She's made $13 million as a influencer, covering fashion, family and faith in a social media enterprise. She's from Dallas, Texas, 3 million followers. So if you had products like shampoos and conditioners and stuff that you wanted to get in front of 3 million people, you do a deal with Danny and she does a little piece on you and promotes your stuff. Now, obviously that's kind of at a fairly higher corporate level, but even locally, and this almost gets into celebrity as well. If you can find somebody that's local, who's got some name recognition. We had this with our cleaner the other day, didn't we? What's her?
Granddaughter's husband, he'd been on that celebrity
Big Brother.
Big Brother.
Right.
So now, of course, he's a real celebrity in this part of the world, and he's on TV and he's taking photographs all over Instagram and everything. But I mean,
But he's not going to cost much money to use somebody like that. If he had the right kind of followers for your product.
yeah,
My
yeah.
point is you don't have to be in the
Yeah.
millions
Yeah.
to make use of celebrity or influencers. You just have to look across your network, either locally or internationally, depending on your business. And these people are out there at all kinds of levels. I knew some people in the UK who had a sort of former TV host of various property programs who advertised their company But because it had been like 10 years since she'd been on the mainstream television, you know, they got her to do a day's videoing for a few £1,000s. It really wasn't big money. And they used that for years, and she had to have the name and face recognition of somebody that people had seen, but who was kind of past their peak career. It was available quite low cost. So don't rule out the idea of celebrity influencers for your business. I think here, for me, this would be one of the most important things to do, which is to build and market your own email list. Any thoughts as to why I think this is important?
Maintain a relationship with clients.
Yeah.
Maintains communication.
Sure. But you could say that about some of the other things we've talked about as well. There's something that's unique about this.
Yes.
I just would like to highlight something on the previous post that you had about having partnership with influencers, because that's one of the things that I have done before.
Okay.
So I give you two examples. I invited someone to the restaurant where I do marketing and events, and this person, influencer, have millions of followers. She arrived at the restaurant. She was like trying to be, she just said this is a disaster, blah 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 blah. Everything was right. She didn't want to pay. That's the thing.
You didn't want to pay?
Yeah, and then I didn't get a follower for the post that she did. She posted like 3 things, even a bottle of champagne. Nothing
happened.
Last week, I invited another lady with 3 of her friends. We had a networking lunch, and I went over 150 followers. Okay. 1 hour. It was a business networking. I learned so much from them.
Yeah.
Everyone, all the audience that were actually following, were interested in the place. They have lots of information, like quality info for the audience. So we have to be careful who you do the partnership with, because sometimes as well, when they follow you or when they want to do partnership with you, the people who may follow are fake.
Yes.
So you don't want that kind of followers either. You need people who actually wants to come to your business or help the business to grow properly, not just because, oh, I got fake followers. No, that doesn't work.
No, that's right.
That's not what I actually like doing. Oh, I'm going to help you to grow your business, and then I'll pay I don't know how much for buying followers. That doesn't work.
You can buy around 1 million for 1,000, I think.
Exactly.
So it is like followers are for sale, but it's
Yeah.
So it's just nice for your profile, but then the next day it's worth nothing. So indeed, that is a tricky thing. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. For example, you go to I play paddle, or sometimes I go to I don't play golf, but my cousin plays golf. But sometimes you meet golfers, like professional golfers, and you invite them over for a coffee to the restaurant. There you go. You met a golfer. He's a proper influencer, and then more golfers will come to the place and they will like,
that's true. If you like golfers, you better invite David to it. He's a celebrity influencer.
And regarding the next post that you have, I believe in sending newsletters. That works a lot with me.
Yeah.
So, for example, I've got a mailing list of more than 4,000 people.
Right.
You send the newsletter and it'll tell you 3,500 read your newsletter. 30 people decided not to follow, but you get nice emails saying, I just changed my email address. I'm not working for this company anymore. Could you please keep sending your newsletter? So that's good. You know that you're doing a good job, and it will be even people who are from the United States, England, Ireland, they want to receive the news, because when they come here, they come and visit the business.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Has anyone here ever been a victim of the Google slap? This is where Google changed the rules of their algorithm. Businesses that had very successful adverts running overnight, suddenly they lose it all. The reason I mention email is it's so important because this is something that you own. No one can take it away from you. Google can't, Facebook can't. All the other platforms, they can destroy you overnight if they want to. Give you an example, I was running Facebook ads a few years ago, and we were on holiday in France, and I realised that my ad account needed topping up, the budget was running out. So I logged on from our French hotel to pay money to Facebook, to Mark Zuckerberg, and they took this as a suspicious activity on my account and closed it down.
Wow.
Instantly. No human being to talk to, no option of explaining what had gone on. It was regarded as a suspicious activity, and overnight I had the whole account was closed down. So, you know, that can't happen with email. You might get the occasional unsubscribe or whatever, but if you build an email list, that's one of the biggest assets you can build in your business, and it's the most precious asset you can build.
Direct.
And so one of the things you should always be doing is how can I tempt people to give me their name and email address and come onto my list? What can I, you know, we talked about the LinkedIn webinar. Well, what's the equivalent in your business? Is it a free report? Is it just a schematic of something? You know, is it an event, a webinar? Is it a video? What can you offer that will be valuable to your target customer, that will make them give you their name and their email? And then once they're on your list, you can start sending things out to them. So this is my, I send this newsletter out to about 500 people every Tuesday and Thursday. It always contains a bit of my content, plus content of other people who I kind of respect and follow, that I think would be relevant to my audience. And that, I think, does more to kind of nurture the relationship over a long period of time than anything else I can do. Because I'm here and they're all over the place, you know, I think they're in about 37 countries, it's not like we can physically get together very often, maybe once or twice a year. But in between times, this keeps me front of mind, twice a week. Oh yeah, that's it. And I think we've got about a 65% open rate or something on this. Again, it's got to be decent, it's got to be good, it's got to be, you know, relevant and good quality, but the key point is not so much that. The key point I wanted to make was do build your email marketing list. And after the break, I want to just take you through a handful of email marketing campaigns that can be really powerful. Not quite there yet. Content marketing. This is, you know, similar to some of the stuff we've talked about, but this is where you can really differentiate yourself. This is a guy I follow called Tim Price. He runs an investment fund, but every week he produces something on LinkedIn that actually gets placed on his website. It looks like a sort of a PDF. It's just really about a 2-page report on something to do with the financial world. You know, and you can see he sometimes uses quite interesting titles like "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die." But it's always about, you know, some interesting elements of the financial market. So for his followers, you know, people will be looking forward to that coming out every week. Does anyone here do anything like this, where you produce reports for your clients, or you send them out analyses of what's going on in your market or your sector? You know, it's something that's very, very powerful, and it's actually, I'll show you in a minute, much easier to do than it used to be. But content marketing, as you see, that can include blog posts, an infographic, you know, just like a diagram. If you say, for example, you wanted to show the project that you do, you know, from start to finish, you could put a diagram together of how you first get involved when the architect's planning the house, through to all the various stages to the happy people having their party when it's all done. If you just put that on a schematic, that shows how it all hangs together. Because I, as a homeowner, I don't know that. I don't know how it works. But now suddenly I've got this diagram that tells me how it works. I would find that helpful. I would download that or whatever. It could be podcasts. They become enormously popular. You know, podcasts are something that, in fact, if you look at the whole world of media has changed in the last 3 or 4 years massively. You know, mainstream television is dying. Mainstream newspapers are dying. People are now consuming their own very personalised media through podcasts, through videos on YouTube, through following specific writers on platforms like Telegram and paying a few pounds, a few euros a month to follow that writer. It's a very different model. And if you're a marketer trying to get into all these different people, you've got to think a bit more creatively now, because it's not like it used to be yellow pages and TV. Paid advertising, Google, Facebook, Instagram, etc. This is where you pay to play. Used to be very cheap, getting a lot more expensive now. And it depends obviously what sector you're in, what your target is. Does anyone here currently use Google AdWords? No? Yeah? You do? Do you get much of a result from it?
We do.
Yeah?
Our SEO is very good.
Yeah.
And again, we've got 30-year-old based records. So we've got a 30-year-old company running. It's a bit different.
But I mean, to be fair, that's two different things. I mean, SEO is all the work you've done organically.
Put me ahead of most of my competitors in.
Right.
What keeps us relevant, I think, is that.
Yeah.
AdWords.
Yeah. I'm just about to do some Facebook advertising again, and you just have to set a budget and see how it goes, and then test it carefully and analyse it, because you can spend an awful lot of money on these things and not get a big return. Do you don't use this at all? No, you?
I would love to.
You'd love to.
See, I think it's, as a small company, it's so difficult to stay on top of all these things, you know, to have a nice and clean office. You know, I mean, honestly, there's always up to date as well, all this stuff. You need to advertise, to do some events 2 or 3 times a year, you know, to film some reels or to write some stories. It's easy when you have a marketing department that does that, you know, or at least one person employed. But if you have to, beside your day-to-day life and stories, to put these things, these little events and plan them, I mean, just to do something more or less okay, it's always taking 50% of your time probably.
Yeah.
This is very
Working on the business rather than in it, you know.
And what I find in the Algarve, for instance, which is really, I think, a market gap, you know, or is having people that actually go to companies that sit with you and that are writing the content for you. You know, probably provide the photos, they will take care of everything. Because you, I mean, if you, I don't know, have between 5 and 10 people, I see, I don't have the time for that. And I don't have the money to pay $2.5 grand every month to a marketing company, where I still have to sit with them. So, you know, but I think this is because you have to basically always, I mean, we have been doing a little bit, you know, but then it falls asleep again after a while. That's the problem. If you don't continuously on top of it, you know, telling the people, well, if you go there, take pictures. No, go back and take better pictures, and then you don't have the allowance to take pictures sometimes. You know,
it's confidentiality. Sure.
But I mean, of course, it helps. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you know.
I think one of the things I'd say about this is it's a good way of getting a kickstart. If you need to get a bit of business and a bit of revenue quickly, and you put a few €100 behind a campaign like this, you can start to get something going fairly quickly. Whereas organic and SEO and things like that takes a long time to build up. So if you're just wanting a quick injection of business, and a few €100 on Google AdWords is
and the good news is there's someone in the room that might be able to help him.
I mean, this one, everyone claims they give exceptional customer service. Do you ever see in the ads saying we're really mediocre? You know, you don't get that, do you? But what does it really mean? I mean, it can be just how quickly people get back to you. It can be very personalised support. Timing often is a key thing. My own opinion is, on the whole, customer service has gone down massively in recent years. Generally, I'm very unimpressed by the service I receive from companies I go to. I don't know why, whether it's just that they're lean and mean and don't have enough staff or something. But, you know, the classic, you ring the helpline, your call is important to us. That's why there's no one here to answer it. You know, how often do you get that? You know, it drives me crazy. But I think if you can find ways of impressing people with customer service, it will be, you've got to try and be memorable. You've got to try and be remarkable. You know, do something that people would comment on. You know. Yes, Mike?
I think that, I don't know if I'm saying too much. I'm a salesperson. And I normally say that because you're selling some Christmas magazine to your grandmother doesn't mean you're a salesperson. It's a skill. And it's a skill if you're running a business. Everybody can open a business.
No,
It doesn't mean you can cook because you're born in Portugal.
no.
No. So some people shouldn't run their business and they're doing very poorly, as I said.
Yeah.
And even if you go to the bank and do that, they're doing so poorly. So I think, yeah, and that's the habit. For me, it's like I haven't turned off my phone for 30 years because my clients pay my bills.
Yes. Yeah.
They do. So you need to step on the toes to do it. So keep the business up.
Yeah.
But you also need to get paid for it.
That's right.
That's sure.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. No, I think
But service is absolutely the skill. So
yeah. And I think you can set parameters. You know, I think you can educate your clients about how and when to contact you. I mean, I would not be wanting to take client phone calls at 9 o'clock at night or something. But equally, I want to impress them with what I did during office hours. You know, so you have to set the parameters, I think. But even just consciously thinking about how you can give better customer service can set you apart.
I think the problem with customer service, it's been an industry for 50 years. And in that time, people tried so hard to, be better than the next person. I mean, anyone who says they're passionate about something, I immediately switch on. Passionate about, catering, passionate about shut up. It's just, it's just
Corporate BS.
And of course, if you read any website, and everyone's passionate about everything, and it's boring. And that's why I come back to what I spoke a year ago. I think the customer service, the secret is wow factors. The secret is actually things that don't cost you any money, but are just what's different. What can you find that nobody else does? That's just a bit different. That make people either laugh, or the first time Virgin Atlantic flew from London to America, and this was not the fancy days of business class, huge beds and the rest of it. This was sitting in economy, where you used to have a screen at the front where you all watched the film, everyone watched the same film down the front, right? And the first time they did it, the flight attendants came down with the plane giving out choc ices.
Yes.
And people thought it was fantastic. It was like being in the cinema where you bought a choc ice when you were watching a film with everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's things like that cost them nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people talked about it. Everyone talked about it.
Yeah.
And I think that these days, because everyone's exceptional. Everyone's got exceptional customer service. So what is the wow factor? The little thing that you can find that nobody else does. If you're in a cafe in Cortera, you do a survey, you say, do you know what? The most popular fish dish is sea bass. And we've got the best sea bass in Cortera. You find something, that says, we're just a bit different from anybody else.
Yeah. We went last year, we went to a hotel in Porto, wasn't it? And when you checked in, they offered you a glass of white Porto. Just something, little thing, but here I'm talking about a year later, I mean, as I say, it's something memorable, something remarkable. A couple of quick ones and then we'll have a break. Using data more, analytics tools and things like that to really help you to see what's happening. So this is from the dashboard of that newsletter I showed you earlier on. So it's showing things like the open rate, how many were sent out, did we get any spam complaints, etc. And you can start analysing this to see what you need to do differently, or tweak up or change better. And the tools are out there for that. Final question before we have a break. Are you using AI yet? You are? How are you using it?
I used it with some of the content that needed to be created, and for LinkedIn personally.
Was it Chat GPT that you used? Yeah. Anyone
I've
else
been
using
really
it?
against it up until
Yeah.
now. It's-
You're using it?
I use it as well, yes, for ChatGPT and also design software for cinemas.
No?
We're starting that now.
All right. Yeah.
And also it's coming now, you know, there's also home automation there.
Well, I mean, virtually everything I've shared with you tonight was done through ChatGPT. Here I said, copy for an email offering 50% off your next pair of glasses. See clearly, save big, 50% off your next pair. You're perfect, they're half the price. Looking for a fresh perspective? Here's your chance. For a limited time, enjoy. Now, it's not bad. It's quite good sales copy. It's quite good. And it did that in 5 seconds. You know, you just need to tweak it a little bit. I mean, I spent 20 years studying copywriting, so I'm curious about this. But never mind. So, yes, need help choosing? Our team's here to guide you every step of the way. So, you know, things like this, these tools are amazing, and they're free. You know? So, I mean, we should all be using this to. We talked about how you have to do good and regular content on social media. Well, here's one of the things you can use to do that and enable that. Why don't we have a break for 10 minutes, grab some cake, and then we'll press on with the last one. That's a mixed blessing, isn't it? Imagine you spent years and years becoming an interpreter or a translator or something like that, and suddenly, whoosh, the carpet gets pulled out from under you.
But not only that, you can just ask it, help me put AdSense up, or help me set up, and it'll teach you as well. Like it'll walk you through step by step. So it's very powerful.
It is incredible, isn't it? So I guess part of our challenge is to be on top of that so we can use it, but not be replaced by it. So, I tell you, I'd hate to be a careers advisor in a school these days. What do you tell a teenager that they should study this in this day and age? I mean, please.
Be an influencer.
A lawyer? No, they can take over that. A surgeon? No, robots can do that. You know, it's a real challenge, but we should be using it productively if we can.
Architects, there always need to be people who sort of see the bigger picture. So you need to, architects either in buildings or in systems, I think architects is always a
You know what I would advise them to do, and it's very much what Michael said. I would have sales, because the one thing these things can't do is kind of human empathy. You know, dealing with people and talking to people and dealing with politics, dealing with, that's the sort of skill that's going to be a long time before even this or a robot can do it. So the empathetic jobs and professions, I think, will be key. I just want to mention a guy who does some great free content that I often follow. A guy called Daniel Priestley, Australian, been living in Britain for some years. This is his website, danielpriestley.com. He does a mixture, he does a lot of stuff on YouTube. He's also very good at creating software tools that can help you. So one of the things I've done from him that worked really well was a thing called Scorecard, which is it's kind of like you can take a quiz. So I did one about how sophisticated an investor are you? And you can ask them 10 or 20 questions, and it instantly comes up with your score. And we all love to see our score, So anything to do with your business, if you can think of a little quiz or something like that would engage people, the idea is that the topic of the quiz gets them interested enough to want to give you their name and email. Remember we said about building an email list. But the other thing that you can use this for, which I've used it quite well for, is to create a waiting list. And the psychology of that is really powerful. You're going to launch a new product or service, but you make people wait for it. That's much more powerful than I've got 10 million of them in my garage, how many do you want? And so I did a waiting list for a thing I was launching. What that means is first they do whatever the thing is, there's some kind of questionnaire. Then you can start sending emails to them while they're on the waiting list, building up the excitement and attention. And then you have the launch, and at the launch, you get a huge amount of interaction, sales, whatever it is that you're trying to do. So he's got a lot of his depth worth following in terms of just the free stuff he does, but also he does have some very interesting applications. Now what he says, in terms of really going from this person doesn't know me at all, to this person is a raving fan, or very keen on working with me, ideally needs 11 different interactions. An interaction would be a phone call, an email, a meeting, whatever. But this is a key thing, a total of 7 hours of content being consumed. Now that's basically, that could be an hour's meeting, that could be 3 YouTube videos, it could be the webinar that Stefan was talking about. And then, just to make it even more difficult, ideally it's across 4 different platforms. And this is a combination of his ideas, a professor's ideas, and a load of research being done at Harvard Business School. So the 4 different platforms could be face-to-face, email, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If they see you on all 4 of those platforms, and you have 11 interactions, so 2 or 3 on each, and in total there's multiple hours of content consumed, they will love you forever. You know, that's kind of the, that's the bar, and it's obviously that's setting the bar very high, and remember, most of your competitors will give up after the second interaction if they don't get hold. So this is like, the gold standard of relationship building. So eventually you could build up, and what you need to do is develop what's called evergreen assets. So the opposite of what you were saying about how things change so quickly, there'll be certain things you could do if you have to raise it up a level to the principles of home automation rather than this month's best technology. You can create evergreen assets that still position you as the expert. But it's because you're on LinkedIn, because you're on YouTube, because you're doing emails, they're seeing you everywhere. And your profile just goes up and up and up. And you are the obvious go-to person in your line of business. So that's his formula. And if you search him on YouTube, you'll find all kinds of ways in which he talks about how you can do this. I just want to plant that seed tonight as something that's worth thinking about. How many platforms are you on? How much content have you got out there? And at what point do you give up? Because, good salespeople are persistent. Okay, the final thing I wanted to share with you was we talked about the importance of email, but even within email, there are things you can use it for as you go through your whole kind of business life cycle. The first is when they've just opted in. This is one of the key moments. They're just, because of whatever you put out there, the lead bait, the report, the webinar, they've given you their name and email. That's the first date. That's the start of a relationship. And now you've got to build on that. This is where David's chalk ices, for example, come in. What do you do early on, early doors, that they're not expecting? So this can be welcome. Thanks for logging in, thanks for opting in. Thanks for doing the quiz, thanks for downloading the report. One of the most powerful things you can say at this point is, how can I help? What is your biggest challenge regarding printing? The biggest challenge regarding your eyesight? The biggest challenge regarding home automation? What is it that I can most help you with? That's a really powerful question. And then what their response helps you to drive where you might need to go in your business in terms of products and services you offer, or how you might want to refine them. But a broad open question like, how can I best help you, is a good one. This is also the point at which you really need to give them your best stuff. So if you've got articles, PDFs, videos that you think set your business up and your profile up in the best possible light, then this is the time to start drip feeding those through, so that they really think, oh, okay, here's another email from David, this will be good. So this is like the indoctrination phase, very first few days, couple of weeks after they come into your list, and this is where you're starting to show that you're a person of value, a person of standing that can help. You then want to get more engaged with them. You really need to get them involved a bit more. So this is what they can gain from being with you. This is where the more you understand their problems, the more you can, if you like, agitate it. You can say, well, I can see why that would be a problem. If you haven't got that sorted, then it's going to be potentially expensive down the line, or I can see all these other issues that would come from not addressing that problem. You can give them some fear of missing out. You know, this is where you can say, well, you know, until the end of this week, we've got this available, or, you know, if I'm bringing 12 people into this group, you know, we've got a couple of spaces left, blah, blah. And this is where you go into kind of doctor mode, where you've asked them what the problems are, and you can start to prescribe a solution. And to get that kind of engagement, you can do it in baby steps. You know, you're not going to ask them to marry you on the first date. You're going to say, respond to this email. Here's a link. And if you've got a decent customer relationship management system, you can know whether they pressed the link or not. You know, so here's a video I recorded about that problem you just told me about. See if this helps you. And then if you know they've pressed the link, that's another little engagement. We're just trying to build that engagement in baby steps, because that's where you build trust, and that's where you're going to get business from. And another one you can use is ascension in terms of a product or service ladder. You might well have hooked them in with something that's relatively low cost or low value. Maybe you've got a $10 product or a €100 product or something. But what else can you do for them? What else do they need that you've got? You know? So you might hook them in with an eye test, but obviously the next thing they're going to want is lenses or frames or whatever. But it was the offer on the eye test that hooked them in the first place. You might do an audit of the locks in their home and say, you know, let me do a security audit of your property. And then not only, you might do that free or low cost, and then you've got them, hooked in as a client if they ever have any problems with their locks or something like that.
And you upgrade.
Yeah, so you can upgrade them. If you have a one-off purchase, can you turn it into a maintenance contract? So that you get recurring revenue from the client rather than a single transaction. Can you, increase the value of the transaction? Sometimes if it's a service-led thing, you can create a special VIP group or a mastermind group, and they'll pay fees to be in that. So what can you do? How can you ascend a product ladder that typically would probably involve more time with you as the expert, but at a higher cost? So that you're looking at an entry level, and then you're looking at higher layers of product or service. So I don't know if it's done that or not. I know in contact lenses, I know you can do a kind of a direct debit and get them every month. So I don't know if there's some equivalent of that for glasses or something. A maintenance contract where you pay a little bit each month rather than having to pay €400 when you next need new spectacles. Things like that. Just creative thinking. And this is also the point at which you can ask them to refer their friends, which is the cheapest form of client you'll ever get. A lot of people are very coy about that, very reluctant to actually ask for the referral. And oftentimes people really are very happy to do it. You just have to choose that sweet spot when you think they're at the strongest point of relationship with you. You've indoctrinated them, you've engaged them. Somewhere about now would be a great time to get a referral or a testimonial. So again, email campaigns can encourage this. You can contact them regularly and update them. And this, we talked earlier on about personalisation. One of the ways you can drive personalisation is by segmenting your database, so that you tag them in some way that classifies their interest. So it could be printing, it could be design, it could be networking, it could be whatever your range of services is. If they've expressed an interest in a particular thing, you can then tag them for that. It might be as simple as lenses or frames, There's no, sending stuff on contact lenses to me, I would delete it straight away. I have no interest because I've tried them and I can't get on with contact lenses at all. But, if you sent something about these new designer frames or something, that might be of interest. But segmenting avoids sending stuff that's of no interest, but helps you personalise what you do send so that it's in line with their interests. And even the most basic customer relationship management systems will enable you to segment and tag people in this way. It could be on what they've done, by watching what emails they've opened or what videos they've watched. watch. That might tell you what their interests are. It could be by your own products or services, and also you can ask them questions. Just say in an email, which of these things is of most interest to you. You can do a survey by email. Tell me which of the things that we do are most relevant for you, and we'll make sure you get more of that and less of the other stuff. So segmenting it is all about learning more about your customers so that you can do the right thing by them.
Yeah, it's like MailChimp, like we did at church, it was really handy doing that survey last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, we use SurveyMonkey for that.
Oh.
SurveyMonkey.com. Yeah.
It was monkey related.
MailChimp, SurveyMonkey, whatever.
Close.
Thank you, our technical department. So SurveyMonkey is brilliant. I mean, I think they even got a free version of it. Just ask them what they want. It's as simple as that, and they'll respond and they'll tell you. And then you can send them the stuff that they ask for.
Can I just say something on that? A very good point. We worked with a client who just did this.
Yeah.
And it was so eye-opening because you think you understand what the client is because you've worked with them, let's say, for 4 years, right?
Mm.
And then just based on surveys, it just is so eye-opening. And you're like, if only I had known this earlier, it would have saved so much hassle, time, and energy. It's very, very powerful.
Yeah, and it's back to the data-driven decision making as well. Here in the church, they thought everyone was transient, because of where we are. And when we did the survey, we found that the majority of people were actually here the majority of the time. And that changed the whole thinking of the leadership team about how they want to run things. And so sometimes you have old assumptions based on previous thinking, and the facts have changed. The situation has moved on. And unless you collect that data and do the survey, you just don't know. So yeah, that's interesting. We've all had dormant clients. They come along and you do some business with them, and then they're still on your database, but they kind of seem to have lost interest. There's various ways we've used to try and reactivate that interest. Often it's a very short, sharp email. So some of my favourite subject lines that work best for me, quick question, Fred. Most people will probably want to look at that. They're just curious what the question is. So that gets them to open the email at least. Was it something I said? Have I upset you? Why have you stopped communicating with me? Again, humour and curiosity will get them to. A really powerful one, are you still looking for home automation? Are you still looking for design and print? Because you came to me a few months ago, we had a conversation, it didn't seem to go anywhere. I don't know whether you've, just lost interest or gone somewhere else. Just tell me, are you still looking for this stuff? And you'd be amazed how much business that's generated. What I often do, if I've sent an email out 2 days ago, and I look at my stats and it says 54% of people have opened this. 2 days later, I'll send the 46% another email with almost identical content. I'll just change the subject line to, did you miss this? Oh, what's that? What have I missed? And again, you get a new bump from that because they'll open that one and say, right, okay. So again, you need the system, the CRM system to do that. And there are some quite cheap ones. I mean, HubSpot, I think, is close to free, isn't it?
Not really, the basic one is, but
Basic
this kind
one.
of stuff you don't
Yeah,
pay
you
for.
have to pay if you want that module. Okay. Is everything okay? Fred is another one, or just Fred. And that will, people seeing their name on an email subject will probably open it. And then obviously you just want to keep it very short and sharp in there. Just say, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're wanting to talk about. Okay, so that is 5 different email campaigns that can be quite powerful. Any other thoughts or comments on that?
I think the key thing about email campaigns is it must position you as the absolute expert. So, because that does 2 things. One, you're the expert and you'll be sitting up to go with X, Y, Z, whatever. And it doesn't matter whether you're an IT or you're breeding rabbits. You must be positioned as the best rabbit breeder in the world.
Yeah.
And because the second part of that is it must lead to people not considering thinking about anyone else. Because you're the expert, why would they think about anybody else? I think all email activity or campaign should have that basic premise, that it positions you as the absolute thought leader, if that's the appropriate thing, market leader, expert, whatever it is. You know, if you're an optician, it'd be unthinkable to go to somebody else because you are the absolute expert, I think. And that's the emphasis that it has to occur. Because the worst thing that can happen in any form of marketing is it actually makes people think, actually that's interesting, I wonder what other people do about that as well, and then they go looking somewhere else. That's the absolute worst position. You've got to have it focused on what you deliver.
Well, and that brings up the whole subject of kind of credentialising yourself, which is important. I think sometimes we're all a bit coy and shy about doing that, but you've got to think about what have you done, who have you worked for, what projects, have you had any awards, qualifications, anything that helps to credentialise you as being that expert. So for example, I've spoken at events and things where you can say, if you were on stage at that kind of event, that kind of wraps it through or whatever. Or in fact, publish books and things, that helps if you publish a book. These days you can probably get ChatGPT to write it for you. But just, no one's going to check. Believe me, no one's going to check. You could say, I am the world's greatest rabbit breeder. No one's going to argue with that. Believe me, it doesn't happen. No one's going to say, hold on a minute, isn't that bloke in Brazil better than you? It doesn't happen. So part of it is, you could almost call it self-aggrandizement, I suppose, but with some justification. Because look at all the clients I've worked for. Look at my qualifications. Look at what I've done.
Right. I still think there has to be a level of authenticity towards what we do.
Sure.
We look at someone else and say, this is the best option for you. Don't take it, but this is the very best option for you because I know. That level of authenticity can't be taken away.
No, that's right. But equally, you can't be coy about sharing why you're the best choice.
No.
And I think generally human nature means we sometimes are a bit coy about that. And I think, I've already, as I said to you tonight, some of the things you do for your clients are way beyond what somebody might expect if they saw your van parked outside on the street. You know what I mean? So in that sense, I think, you could probably do a bit more self-aggrandizement than you currently do. And rightly so, and authentically so, because of your network and your contacts, your experience in the area, everything else, So you can have more value than a casual observer who doesn't know you would realise. And that's what behoves us to get it out there so they do know the value we can add. Because it's such a differentiator. Some of the stuff you do is probably world class. It's absolutely at the. And you have very demanding clients. Let's be honest, they'll soon tell you if they're not happy. So again, you are, and you just told me tonight about a project where you've had to sort out one of your competitors' messes that they've left behind. We've got to be authentic, but we haven't got to be shy about it. We've got to be able to, bang the drum a bit and say, look, we are world class at what we do.
Can I add something? And I was watching an interview with, I don't know his surname, Raoul something, but he mentioned that in today's age, it's very important to have your own brand, even as yourself. Create your own brand, and even above your own business. So, for example, Elon Musk, you know more about Elon Musk and who he is as a person than his business, than SpaceX. Or then X, So what he was saying is that in moving forward with business and with marketing yourself is being able to market yourself first above even what you do. And then what you do flows through to your clients and they say, oh yes, right. And then then they'll follow you into your business. So that was one of the things, is so create your own brand as yourself, and obviously in the area that you specify, but get yourself out there, market yourself, and then the business follows you.
And it's interesting, you're saying this, I had, 2 years ago, I had German television here in Portugal, and they were filming me and my company for 7 days, and I was very tired. The whole day running around, but actually the guys, I didn't like the guys, they were really from, anyways. So, but then they want to make a mini series out of that, 6 parts. It was shown on the German television.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things then, after a while, they said, we would like to see how you live privately. It was actually just about my business, about technology, and they said, well, can we go and, at the end we went skateboarding, and they were flying drones behind me and surfing at the beach and stuff. So they said, why would you do that? Well, nobody's interested in that. And so, no, this is actually what people are interested in. They're interested in, if you have a certain lifestyle or something, there's nothing special, but that they're interested in to see how people live that do something like this and that. I was actually, but then I said, no.
But that's what they say now, is sell the lifestyle and not the product.
Yeah.
So sell the lifestyle and not the
I
product.
think people want to, yeah, but that's part of being authentic. They want to know what you're like as a person.
Correct.
And it's one thing to say, yeah, this is the business, this is what we do, but also, look at all the stuff you do, the adventure stuff. You're quite an action man. Yeah, exactly. That's right. So it's like, if you do a TV series, they'll do an extra one which is like behind the scenes of blah. So this is us filming the series or whatever. This is. Yeah, so I think it adds the human dimension to it.
Correct.
Part of that, we talk about email campaigns and so on. It's not all corporate stuff. It's not all selling. It's talking about yourself, talking about your life. And I sometimes bring faith in the church and stuff into what I'm talking about. Because a lot of what I'm saying, I'm talking to people about how they want to build up, for their retirement or whatever, leave stuff to their children and things. And so, well, maybe there's a legacy you want to leave to something that's a cause or, a charity or something else that's important to you. And in that context, we talk about church and things, So, and now, sometimes it'll put people off. You've got to accept that. You've got to be prepared to repel as well as attract if you open up more about yourself. But generally, I think it does help you to be more authentic.
I just want to say something, since we're a Christian group here, so something I was struggling with was, on one hand to say, well, I'm trying to sort of put my ego behind, and trying to suppress it a little bit, because naturally it comes up all the time. They say that from the Christian perspective, and then you boost it up, in these kind of things. So that's it's a bit of walking on the edge, to level it the right way.
I think from a Christian perspective, there's an element of reticence because the meek will inherit the earth, but at the same time, the labourer is worthy of his hire. Right? So, and I think, you've got to balance those things out. This is not about self-aggrandizement. This is about, whatever you do in life. There's an element, I think sometimes, if you're a Christian, that's, everything's going to be a form of proselytizing. Actually, if you're a rabbit breeder and you're a Christian, well, just breed the best rabbits. That's the way you glorify God. You breed the best rabbits. Or if you're an actor, you're the best actor you can be. That doesn't mean you don't take a part because it's you do the best job you can do. And I think we sometimes forget in business that we're just there to do the best, be the best we can be. And if we do the best at whatever job we are, then we can say that. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
Exactly. No, I think we're not trying to say you lie or you pull the wool over people's eyes or mislead them. We're saying that we genuinely believe that what we do, in fact, we're passionate about it. And therefore, we're just being authentic. No, that's true. That is true. And we always walk that line, but I think we, in fact, I say it more to this group, because of the fact we're Christians, we have a tendency towards humility, that's, you know, not necessarily helpful to our potential clients in coming to us to have us do the best job for them. So yeah, it's a fine line, but I feel quite comfortable, you know, going out and saying I'm good at what I do, you know, and you know, got the track record to prove it. So okay, I'm conscious that it's gone 9:10, so I think we better end it there. Was that useful?
Yeah.